Hello there, hello there, hello there everybody. How the devil are we all? I am sensationally well, I thank you for asking. I hope everyone is doing extremely well. You deserve to be doing extremely well, you beautiful people. How are we all? What a day, what a couple of days it's been. Apologies I wasn't around yesterday. Things happened. Christy couldn't be with me, which didn't mean I couldn't do my own shit. Don't worry, she's fine and everything, just stuff, you know. Life gets in the way. And some people don't think that streaming is the ultimate goal in life. And those people are correct, because streaming is shit. And people who do it are bad. And you should hate them. I hate them. And I hate me more than any of them. Fact. I'm only joking. Anyway. Yeah, so it's stuff got in the way. Hopefully everyone was okay without me for a day. I certainly hope you were. We've got a number of odd little stories to deal with tonight. Peculiar. Not necessarily massive stories I mean, they are and they aren't. We're not going to be dealing with, like, some days we're dealing with, like, death and murder and fucking war and genocide and stuff. And
stop it. Get some help.
Maybe I should, Michael. Maybe I should. And I enjoy those. I don't enjoy those topics existing, of course, but I enjoy the process of talking about those things. I think it's a worthwhile endeavour.
Stop it. Get some help. Maybe
I should, Michael. I don't know why I'm saying that. I don't know why I'm addressing Michael Jordan like he can fucking hear me. You dopey bastard. Anyway. But tonight, as much as they're serious issues that I care about, and I think a lot of people care about, they're not as important. And no, I won't be talking much about the South Korean coup, because A, that's an ongoing issue. And secondly, I'm not nearly well versed enough on South Korean politics to really give you any insights to it. I just saw this meme and it made me laugh. Like, I know that he's like a weird fucking misogynist, so the fact that he like tried to do a January 6th in Korea and lost, literally unanimously, is very funny to me. But that's as much insight as I can really give you. You know? That's as much insight as I can possibly muster from my absolute Angloid ignorance. Thank you to Mr. Peter Wood, for gifting a sub. Much love. Thank you to Cupcake Chaos for resubscribing 46 months. Mental. And thank you, Grey Young Wannabe, for resubscribing for 42 months. Much love, you delightful perverts. We're on a hype train, so if you want to make the hype train go choo-choo, you know what to do. You can do bits messages and or subs. You can sub yourself, you can sub with the Amazon Prime, or you can give subs to the community. And it makes the hype train go choo-choo, which is still a thing that I don't understand why it exists. It's still nonsense, isn't it? Does this coverage include product placement? No, it doesn't. Except me, I am the product that is being placed. But that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Also, I'm going to put my fan on, because I left the heating on for too long and now I'm sweating. Oh. Anyway, hopefully that noise doesn't become too annoying too quickly. Some palette cleansers. Apparently this content is no longer available, Elliot. So, not a lot I can do about that, unfortunately. So, yes. As I say, we're on a hype train, so you can do all of those things, right? You can do a super chat with the Streamlabs link below. I've got Patreon, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, PayPal, Facebook, Threads. I said Blue Sky, didn't I? I think I said Blue Sky. Anyway, all of those things are available to you. If you're on the YouTubes, hello YamTubes! You can do super chats, which I will read out, and you can do you can become a member for 99 pence, which is a real denomination of money here in the UK, and give it to me whilst that's still an amount of money that means anything, because the UK economy is not great. Or you can give memberships to the community, which is good for the old algorithm as well. So thank y'all. Sex workers in Belgium now get sick days, maternity leave, and more labour rights in historic first. Well done, Belgium. I've often taken the piss out of Belgium for not being a real country, because it isn't. But well done on that. Oh, Poporino! Hello! Boom. Fuck yes. Absolutely epic. Tell that dog needs to know that I will happily kill its enemies. Okay, I'll do it. As long as those enemies are legal for me to kill in the jurisdiction in which it operates and resides. Because of course, breaking the law is bad. And I'm not just saying that because terms of service.
99 whole Mike Pence. In this economy.
True, Marcus Drake. True. By the way, Marcus, we'll be talking about some legal stuff, but not from the perspective of legalness as such, because the legality of it is not remotely in question. It's the ethics. So you're not needed. You can stand down on this one. But we'll have you on at some point when, I don't know, Trump passes a fucking an amendment to the Constitution to make him king for life or something, or make American citizens have to call him the dear leader, or you know what I mean. Like, we'll have you on for that. And thank you for the bitty bits. Thank you, Cole Brown, for $2 dues, or no, poundy pounds on YouTube. Hope you're well, Kev. I am well. I hope you're well too, Cole. I hope you're well too. Thank you, Cupcake Chaos, with bitty bits. No message necessary. Love you. Anyway, so as to that aforementioned legal matter, I am of course talking about the thing that I would have talked about yesterday when everyone else talked about it. The Hunter Biden pardon. Yes, that's right, everybody. Hunter Biden and his massively ginormogantus penis committed some crimes in that, right? I'm using the technical terms here, and was convicted and was going to be sentenced at some point in the near future. I don't know. Anyway, Joe Biden used the, again, entirely legal, no one's questioning the legality of it, presidential power of pardon to pardon his son for the crimes what he done did. Now, before we get into the funnier elements of this, just on a sort of legal basis, or not legal, on a kind of moral basis, should Joe Biden have done this? No, he fucking shouldn't have. I think this case, not even as much as some of the cases involving Trump, which we'll get onto, this case is still a very good example, though, of the fact that the presidential pardon power shouldn't exist. As far as I'm concerned, the presidential pardon power is a fucking joke. It's one of the few elements in which the president gets the sort of powers of a king. Like, the American system is based on a kind of series of checks and balances, but there doesn't seem to be a check or balance on this that I'm aware of. If I'm wrong,
get some help.
If I'm wrong, then by all means correct me. But I don't think there's any remedy for this. The president just has absolute power to pardon federal crimes. He can't do so for state crimes, but for federal crimes, apparently he can just go,
get some help.
You're free, like fucking Caesar, letting Barabbas go. You know, like it's just fucking mental. That shouldn't be. Like, if you're going to have a legal system, if you're going to have a justice system, and the American justice system is fucking ridiculous, but if you're going to have that, you can't have like this overriding, like, kingly figure to just go, no, I've decided, no, that's bollocks. I know 12 men, good and true, sat in the fucking court and listened to all the evidence, and I don't really know a lot about it, but I've decided, fuck it, you're free. What? The fuck kind of system is this? It's genuinely sort of kingly power, and I'm fucking well against it. I think it's grotesque. We saw during the Trump presidency how badly it can be abused. Now, this is an abuse of it as well, by the way. It's not as corrupt as some of the other stuff. Look, at least this is sort of based on love and nepotism, you know. but still love, a love for a child, rather than just political convenience and you scratch my back, I scratch yours, kind of old school corruption. But it's still corrupt. Be under no illusions, that's precisely what this is. Hunter Biden did commit these crimes, has been found guilty of these crimes, and should go to jail as appropriate for these crimes, because I understand the argument that, like, of Biden wanted to pardon his kid, right? Like, that's a perfectly natural thing. But as president, you should be above such concerns. You should do what's in the best interest of the country and the American people, not you and your fucking family. It's not the mafia, in theory. And secondly, what about everyone else's fucking kids? What about everyone else's kids that, you know, have gone to jail for lesser crimes? What about the guy in, oh god, was it Missouri or somewhere, that was executed? Even though there were very, very serious doubts about that. Joe Biden had it in his power to forgive that man. It was a federal crime, it was a federal case. He could have stepped in and saved that man's life. He didn't. So what? That guy's life is not as important as your son's freedom. Even though he didn't commit the crime and your son did. That's grotesque. That's corrupt. It's an abuse of his power. Plain and simple. And no, he fucking shouldn't have done this. And again, he shouldn't have the power to do this. You don't elect a king, you elect a president. There should be some check on his power. And on this power, there is none. Ergo, it should be removed. Especially because it can be removed without actually realistically affecting anything in terms of the operation of the government. If a president never pardoned a single person, the government would go on exactly as it would have done otherwise. So it doesn't need to exist. It's not an essential. Marcellus Williams was his name. Thank you, Elliot. Good memory. Or good Googling, whichever. Yeah. He could have stepped in to save any of those people. Loads of people get fucking wrongly convicted. There are people in jail for, like, weed. He could free loads of those people. Now, to be fair, he has done some things with, like, weed and stuff, but, like, he could step in and free loads, or indeed all of those people, for federal crimes, right? And he doesn't. It's fucked up. He's let himself down there. Along with the genocide and stuff as well, of course. Now, having said that, right, having stated my moral case, and any, like, Republicanoids who may watch this either live or later on or whatever, don't get too comfortable. I've said my piece on that, but I'm not on your fucking side, cunts. Seeing the meltdown from right-wing fucking wankers over this has been delightful. Honestly, my heart is never more filled with joy than seeing the right-wing hate machine froth its knickers. An even mild case of, like, going against their narrative. Because Hunter Biden, you understand, is like the most evil creature ever. They couldn't pin anything on Joe Biden, but they could pin something on Hunter Biden, and that was enough. That was enough for them. That was, like, by proxy. That was fine. So they've made out like Hunter Biden is the worst person ever. And what they actually got him on were relatively minor crimes, really. He lied on a form to get a gun or something, which, like, considering there are places in America where you can be criminally insane and still get a gun, like, am I that fucking bothered about that crime, really? Not really. Considering the number of fucking gun deaths in America, this is the thing you're worried about with gun control? Also, very interesting that the, my rights shall not be infringed, don't tread on me crowd are very happy to tread on other people for minor clerical errors. Like, it's bollocks, man. It's total fucking bollocks. So seeing them lose their mind has been delightful. The cope and the seething and the rage from them has been delightful. I think probably my favourite example of that was from Dinesh D'Souza. Do you remember Dinesh D'Souza? Right-wing, ultra-religious piece of shit. Who was found guilty of corruption, very serious corruption, and was then pardoned by Donald Trump and released from captivity. He says, no one is above the law except my son Hunter. But of course, Trump literally pardoned you in 2018, you piece of shit. You accepted a pardon for a much more serious crime that you were definitely guilty of, you fucking piece of garbage. And that's the point. That's the point with all of this. Don't let them fucking gaslight you. Do not let the GOP and their fucking spinners of bullshit. Don't let them for a second gaslight you with this, okay? Trump not only pardoned like hardened convicted criminals because they were politically convenient for him, they were allies of his, like Roger Stone and Dinesh D'Souza. He literally allowed the BlackRock highway of death murderers, war criminals, fucking terrorists walk free. He pardoned war criminals. He used the presidential pardon power in the most corrupt way you could possibly imagine. Although it was funny that he didn't let Joe Exotic go. Even though, I don't know if it's true that the Joe Exotic hired a stretched limo to come and pick him up from the jail, thinking he was about to get pardoned.
Kev, Hunter was prosecuted on crimes that never get prosecuted. He was prosecuted because of who his dad was. And you are confusing a couple of recent state cases, as governors have the power of pardon regarding state cases, and the last federal XOQ scion was in 2021.
Execution. Okay. Yes. Well, I would also contend that state governors shouldn't have the right of pardon for state crimes either. Either you have an independent judiciary or you don't. Either it's removed from political chicanery or it isn't. And if it isn't, then just let corruption run wild, because who gives a fuck, you know? And yes, I agree with you that he was probably convicted on the basis of who his dad was, but I sort of still don't care. On a basic moral level, he shouldn't be the one to make that decision. If a court found that he was guilty and the punishment was jail, he should have gone to jail. He should be above that. We're always told that one of the things that Joe Biden does, and by the way, thank you for the bits, that's very generous. We're told about Joe Biden that he's like an institutionalist, that he likes to do things by the book, that he cares about the rules and the order of the system. Except, of course, when it comes to his family, in which case, whatever. Then we can skirt around him. Oh, we can't skirt around the parliamentarian. No. But we can skirt around your conviction for crimes. Like, come on. I get that. Look, I'm not going to get... Kieran, I'm with you in the sense that I'm not outraged by this, because I couldn't give two fucks, in all honesty. I literally head off the show with, I'm not going to be talking about things that are as important as, like, genocide tonight, right? So, clearly, I don't really give that much of a fuck. I'm not going to lose any sleep over this. I don't think it's going to perpetually stain Biden's record, because the blood of tens of thousands of Palestinians already did that. But I still think it was wrong. I still think he shouldn't have done this. But again, getting back to the point I was making, don't let Republicans gaslight you. Okay? Trump used this in the most corrupt way you can fucking possibly imagine. Right? He abused it to let war criminals walk free. Disgusting shit. And they're trying to sort of preemptively gaslight you, if that makes sense, into saying, well, this now gives Trump the authority to do X, Y, and Z. This gives Trump the say-so. It opens the floodgates for Trump to do X, Y, and Z. First off, dickheads, did you forget 4 and 5 years ago when he did exactly that anyway, before Biden had ever become president? Do you remember that? Do you remember when he literally did that for hundreds of his fucking friends, you pricks? right? That literally already happened. And he was already saying before this that he was going to pardon the Jan 6th people. So their argument is Joe Biden pardoning his son gives post hoc rationalisation or post hoc allowance for Trump to do something that he did 4 and 5 years ago and that he's already been saying he was going to do anyway. This has no impact on anything Trump was going to do. Trump was going to pardon the Jan 6th people. He was going to pardon probably himself, although I'm sure that'll be challenged, but whatever. He's going to pardon every fucker that he likes, that's part of his crew. I literally mentioned in the run-up to this, when we were watching MC Flogina doing a rap with, what's her name? Amber Rose. That Amber Rose, a person who has described themselves as a borderline Satanist and is very, very pro-abortion, but came out in favour of Trump. That's because she's got several cryptocurrency corruption cases upcoming. I'm going to guess that conversations were had through back channels between Amber Rose and the Donald Trump campaign for her to throw her weight behind the Donald Trump campaign in exchange for maybe a pardon or 7. You know. Absolute naked corruption from top to bottom. And he was going to do this regardless of whether Biden pardoned Hunter or not. It's an irrelevance to the situation. And anyone who tells you otherwise is a fucking liar. Or an idiot. Some of them are probably just idiots. But most of them are liars. Anyway. Isn't Amber Rose a rapper or rapper adjacent celebrity? Yes, she is. I mean, as it's been mentioned. Fuck it, we'll watch it again. She literally did this fucking... Well, she doesn't actually sing in this, but she appears in the video. Yeah. And she spoke at the RNC. Hey, you know who we voting for? We voting Donald Trump, baby. Donald Trump, baby. America needs saving. America needs saving. We voting Trump, baby. Trump, baby. November 5th, we going crazy. November 5th, we going crazy. Red pill poppin', swerving in the Trump. Republican 4G, Antifa knows what's up. Red, white, and blue, MAGA nation, throw it up. Black, white, and brown, all about a vote for Trump. Democrat party gon' take your freedom. Indicting our president cause they can't beat it. It's a two-tier justice system. Put America first, we the victims. FJB, 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 FJB. Let's go, Brandon, sing it. We voting Donald Trump, baby. Donald Trump, baby. America needs saving. America needs saving. We voted Trump, baby. Trump, baby. I'm sure there are some people who have done incredibly embarrassing things to avoid jail. Gone to some really bad lengths. Done some truly debased things to avoid prison time. But has anyone ever bottomed out worse than this? I'm not sure they have. I'm not sure they have. Oh yeah, the Oval of Horse! The Oval of Horse! November 5th, we going crazy. November 5th, we going crazy. Now I pledge allegiance to vote for Trump. There's a red wave coming, you gon' surf for what? In God I trust to take the devil away. Lock Joe Biden up and throw the key away. Your propaganda ain't gonna work on me. Bidenomics is like you working for free. I demand reparations from every idiot that voted for Joe Biden, boy, period. Period, Sleepy Joe is a fraud. And the bloodbath in the Oval Office. Hang on. Need it again. The Oval Office. Period, Sleepy Joe is a fraud. And the bloodbath in the Oval Office. The Oval Office. The Oval Office.
enemy of the people. The Democrats and the fake news. Oh shit. FJB, 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 Let's go. We voting Donald Trump.
Fucking hell, man.
America needs saving. America needs saving. We voted Trump, Trump, baby. November 5th, we going crazy. November 5th, we going crazy.
Absolute cancer. Absolute fucking cancer. Unbelievable. Okay. So, that... people were asking my opinion on the Hunter Biden thing in the Discord, so I thought I'd say some things. And I did. Anyway, so another issue which, again, it's certainly an issue close to my heart, but isn't necessarily as serious as, like, you know, war or genocide or something like that. But a topic which has come up in discourse over the last few weeks, whatever, is that of the Parthenon marbles. Otherwise known as the Elgin marbles, quite wrongly, but whatever. Which is a thing I've talked about in the past, right? They are a series of marbles in London, and we're actually going to watch a little sort of mini documentary in a second, so I don't have to explain it that much. But, like, they're a series of marbles that were stolen from Greece and taken to Britain, like 200 and something years ago. And the Greeks quite understood. Sorry, the Greeks have wanted them back ever since. Understandably, literally, they belong to Greece. It's pretty straightforward. You shouldn't keep stolen goods, especially when they're priceless ancient relics, you know. And the reason this has become something of a story is that you'll remember last year, 2023, the Greek Prime Minister came to Britain, and literally there was a meeting planned between him and the Prime Minister of Britain and of the United Kingdom, technically. Whatever. And that meeting got cancelled because the Greek Prime Minister planned to bring up, like, getting these marbles back, getting these priceless works of art back. An unbelievably petty, jingoistic bullshit move from the guy that then went on to have an historic loss. Can we get some lols in chat for the former Prime Minister and his just series of massive owls much taller than himself. Anyway, the Greek Prime Minister again is coming over to Britain this week, and there's been some back channel talks, and it seems like some progress has actually been made on this. People at the British Museum, which is where this is based, have been much more open to the idea of giving back the marbles, and it seems like a deal might be quite close. How close, we don't know. Maybe the Greeks are kind of bigging it up a little bit, or maybe, you know, whatever. Maybe the backlash from the right-wing press might give Starmer cold feet or whatever. Who knows? Let's not get too hopium pilled about it all, right? But there's definite progress in the right direction, which has caused the right wing to lose their shit. I mean, literally, the people with the least amount of cultural interest in things like Greek architecture are the people who are most offended because they've been told to be offended by the Daily Mail. They've never been to the fucking British Museum. They've never seen these articles. They have no interest in them. If they disappeared overnight, they wouldn't fucking know. But just like when, do you remember we ceded the territory of the Chagos Islands to the Mauritius? Because it's not our fucking territory. Why should Britain have this weird little island chain in the middle of the fucking Indian Ocean? That's not ours. So we handed it back, and the right wing went, oh, even though they'd never heard of the fucking Chagos Islands. And I bet if you ask them now, what are the Chagos Islands, they wouldn't be able to tell you. They got angry because GB News told them to get angry, and then they instantly forgot and got angry about something else. Because that's how the culture war works. Absolute waste of time to distract us from the fact that the rich are literally fingering us every fucking day. Anyway, Elgin marbles, or the Parthenon marbles, like I say, it's something that I've mentioned on the channel before. Something that I feel very strongly about, that they should be given back. But maybe some people don't actually know what the fuck these things are, or how they came into the possession of the British Library. Not British Library, the British Museum, which is a different institution. And so I thought we could watch this together. Why the British Museum has the Parthenon marbles, by Nerdwriter.
If you're lucky enough to travel to London, one of the things that you might want to do there is go to the British Museum. And if you go to the British Museum, you might enter this room of stunning ancient Greek sculptures. These are the Parthenon marbles, called that because they came from the Parthenon, the famous temple of Athena built in the 5th century BCE.
Literally true. So far.
Which is not in London, obviously, but all the way over here in Athens, Greece.
I mean, look, what's 1,000 miles between friends? Like, come on. Look, what's 1,000 miles and completely different legal jurisdiction between friends? Come on. Kieran Saunders says that deal looks like to collapse but due to both the US wanting to keep their base and nobody wants to deal with the refugees on the island. Oh, the Chagos thing. Oh, okay. I hadn't heard any news about it for a few weeks. Yeah, if you're lucky enough to travel to London, you will be stabbed. That's not a threat, that's just a guarantee. That will happen. Like, I don't want it to happen. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, you're going to get stabbed. I'm just saying like, statistically, you will be stabbed at least once, maybe multiple times.
So, how did sculptures that were attached to the Parthenon end up in a museum on the other side of Europe? And why does Greece want them back? It's an interesting...
Why does Greece want them back might be the most banal question of all time. Because it's their shit. Like, you know, if someone steals something from you, generally, you want it back. Like, it would be rarer and therefore more newsworthy if someone didn't want their shit back.
Interesting story, and it starts with this guy, Thomas Bruce, the 7th Earl of Elgin.
Absolute waste, man. Although he does have the pantaloon pussy, the pantalussy going on, which, I mean, fair play on that. I'll give him some Riz points for the boy front bottom, but other than that, absolute melter.
In 1798, Elgin was made British ambassador to the Ottoman Empire, a position created to capitalize...
Yeah, do you remember the Ottoman Empire? That thing that was around when Jimmy Carter was born. Yeah, that thing. That thing. Yeah. So, you know. But I mean, to be fair, this was like 100 years before Jimmy Carter was born, but still. Is that how Elgin is pronounced? It is indeed, yes. Americans do tend to say Elgin, but it's Elgin, yes.
On the newfound friendship between Britain and the Ottoman Turks. See, the Turks had long been allied with France, but that relationship soured in 1798.
Ah! Take that, France! Losers!
When Napoleon invaded Egypt, a territory...
Hang on, did I just do a J? I did. Fuck. Loser! I forget it's the other way round, isn't it? Bollocks.
That the Turks had previously controlled. And when Britain, in a war of their own with France, destroyed the French...
No, I don't believe it. Britain at war with France. No. This has never happened before. This is an outrageous slur. Britain would never go to war with France. We're good friends. Kev, if you ever say Riz points again, you are going to fucking regret it. Do you not like me being down with the kids? Because I am the Riz King, no cap.
Naval fleet at the Battle of the Nile, well, the enemy of my enemy is my new best friend. This was the state of things when Elgin left for Constantinople in 1799. Strengthening his country's relations with the Turks was an important mission, but in addition to this, Elgin assigned himself another mission, one he was even more passionate about. Before he left, Elgin was chatting with his architect in Scotland, Thomas Harrison, who mentioned that this ambassadorship was a perfect opportunity to document classical architecture in Greece, another territory that the Turks controlled. At this time, the Greek revival was gaining popularity in Northern Europe, a movement that looked to ancient Greece as the pinnacle of architecture.
And one of the underlying cultural reasons for the rise of fascism. Yeah, it kind of was.
And the pinnacle of ancient Greek architecture is the Parthenon. Harrison suggested that Elgin bring a team to Greece to draw and make plaster molds of sculpture on the Parthenon for the benefit of artists and architects back home. Elgin loved the idea. The British government, not so much. At least they didn't want to pay for this side mission.
Note the flag. He's using a historically accurate flag. The British flag now has the red... what do you call it? Diagonals? The red, full red diagonals? Like, those weren't added till later because of the old Northern Ireland thing. Yeah.
Mission. So Elgin paid for it himself. In Sicily, he hired the Italian painter Giovanni Battista Lucieri to lead his cohort of artists and molders. Lucieri was a popular landscape artist whose work was almost photorealistic, the perfect man for this job. Now, while
those are pretty dope paintings, to be fair. Like, again, a bell end, but still. Create an image. Add the Mao Zedong haircut to this image. The image has been loaded successfully. I will now proceed to add Mao Zedong's hairstyle. What the fuck are you... What? Are you actually asking ChatGPT to give me Mao's haircut? Because I'm kind of here for it. So how is Wales represented? That's the good thing. It isn't. Basically, it isn't. The English never pretended that Wales were an equal part of anything until very recently. Like, it's only the last few decades that we've even pretended. Basically, Wales was basically just a part of England, legally speaking. It wasn't like England and Wales was just England. Like, it's pretty grim.
Elgin settled in Constantinople doing diplomatic work, Lucieri and his team arrived in Athens in August 1800 to start work on the Acropolis. Unfortunately, they were not allowed on the Acropolis without written permission, a contract known as a firman, which they didn't have. At that time...
Which, by the way, this is a thing that gets brought up a lot, this firman, which is like the Ottoman writ of allowing you to do something, like it's a sort of license to act in a certain way, given the specifics of what it says in the firman. So basically, it's a legal document the Ottomans would give to people. So, like, if you wanted to trade certain things in certain areas, you had to have a firman that said, "I can trade this shit here," that sort of thing. Assuming it was under Ottoman control. Now, in theory, Elgin claimed that he had this firman. We don't actually have evidence of the firman other than a frankly dodgy as fuck Italian translation, which he gets into in a second, and I'll sort of analyse that in a minute. But I just want to point out, for me, I couldn't give two fucks whether he had this firman or not. It doesn't bother me either way. I don't care. It doesn't change anything. These things were not the Ottomans to gift away. These things did not belong to the Ottomans. I know Britain likes to pretend that colonialism equals justice. It fucking doesn't. Even if it had a cast iron guarantee that said, look, the Ottomans said, I can steal all of your shit, it wouldn't make it okay. And I would still say, we need to give that shit back. I don't give a fuck that some Ottoman sultan 1,000 miles away said, yeah, go for it, lad. I couldn't give two shits. You still stole it, you're still a cunt, give that shit back. The fact that he almost certainly didn't have this is another damning indictment of the fact that he's just a thief. But, you know, what are you going to do?
The Acropolis was serving as a military installation for the Turks, and they were getting protective now that it looked like Napoleon was aiming to send reinforcements to Egypt. In response to this, the British sent their own force to expel the French once and for all, and in partnership with the Turks, they were successful, driving Napoleon's forces to surrender on June 17, 1801, and leave Egypt for good. 3 weeks later, Elgin got the firman. Now, this firman is the source of a lot of controversy, so it's worth looking at a little closer. It was based on a memo written by Elgin's chaplain, Philip Hunt, that asked for 3 things. 1, permission to draw and make molds of the
Hang
ancient...
on, did he have the West Bank board? Hang on, really? Hang on.
Source of a lot...
Hang on. It can't. Yeah, it kind of does. What the fuck? Or maybe that was like a different. Was that the Protectorate of Jerusalem or some shit like that? Because you got to bear in mind this is like 200 years ago. So I don't. Yeah, I think that might just be like some other weird fucking little statelet. I think, rather than strictly speaking the West Bank. But anyway, I mean, it's neither here nor there.
Turks, they were successful.
Yeah.
It's worth looking at a little closer. It was based on a memo written by Elgin's chaplain, Philip Hunt, that asked for 3 things. 1, permission...
No, I don't think it's necessarily an incorrect map, because it doesn't have the Gaza Strip on it at all. So I don't think it's meant to be modern Israel-Palestine. Because wasn't there a Protectorate of Jerusalem at some point? Or some, I don't know. Maybe there wasn't. Whatever.
To draw and make molds of the ancient architecture on the Acropolis. 2, permission to erect scaffolding around that architecture. And 3...
Okay, what is it, Clem H. Fandango? Something I find interesting about the period is they, brackets the British, believe the Greeks and Egyptians had forgotten their heritage and become lazy to rationalise venerating the ancient civilization while still being racist against the people who live there now. Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. It's always my favourite bit to do with racists is to read out a quote. There's a fantastic quote from, oh God, was it Aristotle, I think? And to say this was how they viewed Africans. And it says, like, you know, they're fucking evil and stupid, and they've got big heads, and therefore they've got weak brains, and they're not very civilized, and blah blah blah. And they go, yeah, that's, yeah, I see, he was on it. And you go, oh no, sorry, no, he was talking about Northern Europeans. Oh shit, my bad. Whoopsie, he was talking about the whites. You know, and see the 180 they do on Aristotle. It's beautiful. Anyway. Yes. Is Philip Hunt related to Jeremy Hunt? Possibly. Although Hunt is a relatively common surname, so...
Liberty to take away any sculptures or inscriptions which do not interfere with the works or wall.
Whoa, snuck that one in. Like, I'm okay with you, like, well, not taking pictures, because the photograph had not yet been invented. But I'm okay with you doing drawings. I'm fine with you doing drawings. Even taking plaster cast mould, as long as you're careful, not a problem. But then you had to slip in liberty to steal some shit? Let's just... we'd just like to steal some shit, if that's okay. Like, this normal stealing shit. Whoa. Whoa. Crafty bastards. And you put that one in last, don't you? In small writing, hoping they don't read the whole document. Hoping they do that thing.
Of the Acropolis.
Hoping they do that thing where it's like, you're supposed to read your terms and conditions. You don't. You go, oh, you read the first sentence, you go, fuck it, you scroll down, click OK. You could have just signed your soul away, who knows? I'm not fucking reading all that.
Now, the third point is the important one. Elgin had not left England with the intention of bringing back parts of the Parthenon, but here Hunt adds that power. And in the actual Firman, of which only an Italian translation still exists,
and that's the thing, this Italian translation is shonky as fuck, okay? Literally, the Turkish representative to the United Nations last year voted with the Greek government for the return of the Elgin marbles, the Parthenon marbles, to Greece, on the basis that they have access to all of the Ottoman records, and there is nothing in there to suggest this Firman actually ever existed. They have a poorly worded, shitty, and, let's say, historically questionable Italian translation of a document that says that this exists. They said that's not nearly enough for us to authenticate this, therefore there is no Firman, we didn't give you permission. So even under the legalistic, like, oh, we had the right to steal it argument, the Turkish government, like, do you know how open and shut this case has to be for the Turkish government to give the Greek government the benefit of the doubt? For them to go, actually, no, Greece can have this cool thing that they want. Do you know how bad it has to be for the Turks to be like, yeah, let the Greeks have them? Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not bestest best friends. Let's put it that way. No matter how much you see Hassan with, what's his name? The Greek fella, the big fat Greek fella. I've forgotten his name. Stavy and Hassan. That's not a usual interaction between Turkish governments and Greek governments, I assure you.
Turks echo his language when they say at the very end that no one should, quote, hinder them from taking away pieces of stone with inscriptions and figures. What does this mean? It's frustratingly vague.
I don't know what that joke means, Phantom. I'm not ignoring you. I didn't get it.
Most likely, it was meant to allow Elgin's team to take pieces that had fallen off the Parthenon, of which there were many. Back in...
Which, by the way, I still don't care if he was given that right. It's not your shit. Just because a third party said, yeah, you can steal it, doesn't make that okay.
1687, Venetian forces trying to capture the Acropolis fired a mortar round into the Parthenon, which the Turks were then using to store gunpowder.
Do we have much stuff that the Turks want back? Almost certainly, I imagine. I don't know off the top of my head, but it's very possible. Is there a database, I wonder? Data... Fuck him out. Database of British stolen artifacts? Stolen cultural property? Is this specific to Britain? Relevant stolen... The database list here not inclusive of the period 33 to 45, so not Nazi shit, okay. Spoliation research from the UK museums, okay. So that's destruction of property, destruction of evidence, I should say. Acquiring commercial database, non-commercial spectrum procedures relevant to provenance. Resources. What's this then? The Central Register of Information of Looted Cultural Property, the Lost Art Internet Database. No, I don't know. Maybe one of you all in chat could look for me. British Museum finds 268 more missing art. Well, that's stuff that's been stolen from them. Artifacts stolen from British Museum might be untraceable. I mean, look, presumably the British Museum can't really complain if people steal their shit. That's just game recognising game, right? Don't hate the player, hate the game, you know? Contested objects from the collection. Okay. So this is according to the British Museum. Allow all cookies. I mean, I don't really care, but... There we go. The Asante Gold Regalia from the Kingdom of San. That's Africa, isn't it? The Benin bronzes, human remains. What the fuck? Why have we got dead bodies that we don't fucking belong to us? What? The British Museum holds and cares for human remains from around the world. Representing diverse cultures over thousands of years, the important collection is a unique record of the varied ways different societies... Why have we got dead bodies and shit? Oh, that's so fucking mental. Oh, that's so gross. Held in a number of departments for research. Over 6,000 human remains are in the care of the museum. Oh my fucking god. Oh, you absolute ghouls. What the fuck? The Deal Warrior crown was worn directly on the head, and when it was discovered, it still held impressions of human hair on its inner surfaces. Oh god, that's gross. Oh yeah, they've got the Moai from Easter Island. Give that back, dickheads. The Parthenon sculptures. Early shield from Australia. Learn about the research carried out in the provenance of the collection during the period 1933 to 1945. They've got stolen Nazi shit. They've got lots of stolen Nazi stuff. That's what that means. That's why those years specifically, because those are the years the Nazis were in power in Germany. Just saying. So we've got stolen Nazi shit. Cool. Very good. Very cool and normal. Awesome. No, that's nice. Do they have a search? Search. There we go. Turkey. Let's look at Turkey. Turkey, Ottoman. Oh, no, that's not. That's not what I'm after at all. No. Turkey, Ottoman. Greek Revival, Collecting an Empire? Maybe? No, I don't think that's right. The Mausoleum of Halicarnassus. Anatolia and Urartu. Okay. Oh, we got some stolen shit here. Objects from room 3054 show different cultures of ancient Anatolia and Urartu from prehistoric to Hellenistic times. Ancient Anatolia and Urartu, basically modern Turkey, important land link between Europe and Asia. They lie between the republics of Turkey, Armenia, Georgia, and northwest Iran. So basically, we do have some stolen Turkish stuff. Some of it from before Turkey was Turkey, because Turks didn't exist yet, or if they did, they existed somewhere else. So the answer to your question is yes, we have some stolen Turkish things. Not a surprise, in all honesty, given that it was very close to the cradle of civilization of Mesopotamia. You know, wouldn't be that surprising that people would have moved there at some point.
The resulting explosion.
I didn't know they had that many body bits. That's fucking gross. Give the bodies back. What the I at least get what people wanting to go and look at the Parthenon marbles. They're beautiful. Of course they are. And by the way, we can still keep replicas of them. With 3D printing now, we could have 3D replicas perfectly made that we can keep those, send the marbles back to where they belong, because that's right, and we still get to look at the beautiful, pretty things. Who the fuck's going to the British Museum going, I want to look at a bit of dead Egyptian? Tell you what I feel like today. Have you got any Mesolithic toe bones for me? Do you know what I mean? Like, no one's doing that. Who the fuck's going to go to the gift shop and get a fucking ankle bone bracelet or something? What the fuck?
Out the roof and made this.
You just want to fondle a ball. I'll be honest with you, right? And I've said this before. The famous old line, was it, Hitler has only got one ball, the other is in the Albert Hall. If the Albert Hall do possess Hitler's testicle, they should put that on display. Like, I'm just saying. That's a historical artifact right there. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think Germany or Austria are going to be asking for it back. So I reckon we can keep that one, put it on display. Just Hitler's bollock, you know?
Ancient Greek temple that stood for so many centuries into a ruin, scattering pieces all over the ground. Some of these pieces were used to make new Turkish homes. Others were sold illegally to tourists looking for a souvenir. But giving Elgin's team permission to take the pieces that remained was unprecedented for the Turks. Still, Elgin decided to take it one step further. After the firman
Because he was a
granted,
bellend. Absolute fucking bellend. What a wanker.
he sent Hunt to Athens, who bribed and threatened local Turkish authorities to let the team remove sculptures that were still attached to the standing structure of the Parthenon. And that is exactly what they did. Over the next decade, Elgin's team removed about half of the surviving sculptures on the Parthenon.
What a piss take. Look at it. Look how much shit he stole.
And shipped them back to Great Britain. This included 21 figures from the east and west pediments, 15 metope panels, and 246 feet of the Parthenon frieze, which was originally a continuous narrative sculpture that ran around the outside of the inner wall. In the process of these removals, Elgin's team did great damage to the Parthenon. In a letter to Elgin, Lucieri even admitted that he was, quote, obliged to be a little barbarous.
I would argue that you're both barbaric for the cultural crimes you committed, yes.
More damage was done during the shipping phase. In 1802, one of the ships carrying a load of marbles sank off the coast of Kythera. It took 2 years to salvage them, all at Elgin's expense. By the time all the marbles made it back to Great Britain, some stored at Broomhall in Scotland, others in London, Elgin had racked up a crushing amount of debt.
LOL.
All told, he estimated expenses for this passion project at £74,000.
Can we cut that shit out with the passion project? I don't. Do people describe the Great Train Robbery as a passion project? No? Because it wasn't. It was a crime.
Northward of £5 million today. For a nobleman, Elgin was never very rich. His wife's family was, but upon their return to Great Britain, she cheated on him and he was forced to divorce her.
Literal cock.
Losing access to her family's money in the process.
Boom.
The only option he had in the end was to sell the collection to the British government.
Actually, no, you know what? This isn't a historically accurate fucking map. Because it's got the Northern Irish border, which didn't exist until, like, nearly a century later. So you know what? This isn't a historically accurate map. Shame.
The matter was hotly debated in the House of Commons, after which they finally agreed to buy the marbles for £35,000.
Again, what is it with the British and, like, rewarding criminals and not the victims? So we did the whole slavery thing. That was a thing that happened. And then we gave money to the people involved in that, but to the owners of the slaves to recompense them for their loss of property. We gave the slaves, let me just check, no pounds and no pence at all. And similarly here, rather than like giving the shit back to Greece and being like, I tell you what, we'll give you 35 grand, which at the time, a lot of money. We'll give you 35 grand as recompense. Sorry about that, chaps. No, sorry about that, my bad. Oopsie. No, we went, not only are we going to take these fucking stones from you, we're going to give you money for them. What the just take the fucking stones. Take the stones and give them back to Greece, for a start off, but also just take the fucking stones. Why are you paying for them? Mental. Fucking mental.
less than half of Elgin's expenses. In 1816, the Parthenon sculptures finally passed into the hands of the British Museum, where they've been ever since.
Over 200 fucking years now. I reckon it's time, lads.
A few years after this sale, the Greeks won independence from the Ottoman Empire, and it wasn't long before they began to publicly lament the loss of the marbles that Elgin took. The Parthenon is a national symbol of Greece, and so many of the sculptures that belong to it reside.
Yeah, this is a really modern map, because it's got North Macedonia.
In a faraway land. Naturally, they want them back. For what it's worth, I believe that the British Museum should return the Parthenon marbles to Greece. After 200 years, it's about time that these treasures make the return journey.
Fair play. Fair play, well made. Well, good points well made. Correct. So anyway, hopefully the marbles go back at some point in the near future. Fingers crossed. Anyway, here's a sleepy pile of puppies. Staffy puppies. Oh, there's so much pupperage. The puppage per square mile there is just ridiculous. I agree. I agree with that one. And that one. How many are there? Is that 8? Good God. Oh, look at this one on the left here. Absolutely zonked out. He is in the warm embrace of the Sandman right there. Absolutely lovely. Anyway, you get the idea. So, apropos of the Thanksgiving shite that we watched the other day, you may remember that he mentioned a certain "Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare," called him a grifter, which is very funny, and you know, extremist, etc. Because he's totally not pivoting to the right, Cenk. No, don't be silly. Anyway, so this is called "Please Stop Messengers." Please stop messaging us about this. Thank you all.
All right, let's read some IMs. Pokemon Go to Hell. Sam, I'm sure you're going to get a lot of IMs today about Cenk. I think if you haven't seen what he had to say about you, you should watch it, but I don't think it needs to be public. TYT seems to be trying to go in a different direction, and criticism should be about their coverage and policy, not about personal disputes. I, yesterday, did see some clips from, I guess, something that happened like on Thanksgiving or whatnot. I gotta be honest, I don't really care. The last, you know, any type of communication I had with Cenk was, I think, like in July, and it was in response to like the, I don't know, 4th or 5th thing that I had seen that I found sort of offensive and wrong. And to be honest with you, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was about trans stuff, but it could also have been about, you know, they're chasing that fake Venezuelan story. I don't remember when it was. Maybe that was in the fall, so maybe it was not that. It was probably the trans stuff. And I made it clear to Cenk that he was invited to come on the show, and you know, we could have a debate, we could discuss whatever. I mean, you know, and he made it clear to me that he was not interested in that. He was mad. He
does want to talk to Elon Musk though about how awesome the Doge is going to be.
very, very mad about all of it. I will just...
Isn't Sam Cedar everyone's older man crush? I think so. Except people who are older than him, in which case he's their boy toy, maybe. I don't know.
Say, like, I didn't hear any issue that he had with the stuff that we talk about. He may have issues with me personally. That's fine. I don't care at all. You know, I told him 8 years ago, it was in October, I remember, because I think he was at that conference. And he said, you know, how can I get you and Jimmy to stop fighting? And I'm like, get Jimmy to...
Jimmy Dore. Oh, there's a name I've not heard in a long time.
Learn a thing or two about what he's...
What's Jimmy up to? Let's have a look. I haven't even heard that name in fucking 2 years or something. What's he up to? The Jimmy Dore Show. Right. Trump threatens 100% tariff to save the dollar. Media pushes Biden's lies about not pardoning Hunter. Israel, US, Turkey funded terrorist attacks to Syria to topple Assad. Oh, so he's doing Assad stuff. Okay. He likes himself some Assad. Hunter's pardon is cover for Joe's financial crimes. Biden's last huge lie, helping Biden hide his crimes. Be afraid, be very afraid. MSNBC caught faking measles photo. Oh my god. Biden pushing nuclear war. Oh, so he's still sucking Putin's cock. Israel is all about the money. We're waging a proxy war. Trump nominates George Soros' buddy. Women forfeit game versus biological. Oh my god. So he's just fully in the anti-trans thing. Is she drunk? Kamala campaign lame. Homeless postal employees. This is how they suppress dissent. The dollar is dying. Musk warns America is headed for bankruptcy super fast. DEI failures exposed. So it's just Fox News. He's just doing like rage bait, fucking Rush Limbaugh shit. He's just Rush Limbaugh, but way less successful, and unfortunately way less alive.
Talking about because he's
way more alive. You get the idea.
Not he's.
Can we get some lols in chat for Rush Limbaugh still being dead? Because that is good.
The stuff he's saying, he's promoting Peter Thiel for the Supreme Court. He's saying that it doesn't matter who gets to appoint judges, and this is this is going to be a disaster. And by that point, he was also talking that Hillary Clinton had Parkinson's and that Seth Rich was assassinated by the Clintons. And my attitude was like, you could criticize Hillary Clinton, and you should, but when you promote right-wing memes like that, you are doing a disservice. It doesn't matter the other stuff you're talking about. You're basically promoting right-wing memes.
Even if within your coverage, right, for Jimmy, even if you bake in some plausible deniability. I mean,
and it's fun to me because they're like, these fucking people will still do like the, well, I support Palestine, therefore how can I be right wing? Like as if just opposing genocide means you can't possibly have any other right-wing opinions. Like, if you oppose the genocide in Palestine, but you support the genocide in Ukraine, and you support the genocide in Syria, and you support the killing of old people with COVID because you're a fucking anti-vax lunatic, and you're anti-trans, and you're just a bigoted piece of shit, yeah, you're right-wing. Sorry, my man. The fact that you also have one area where you're not a complete monster doesn't really give you a pass.
Now that's a name I've not heard in a long time.
True.
A long time.
Very true.
Always maintain that what you cover is just as important.
Well, that's what editorial. That's the right. Editorial decision.
Editorial discretion, right? So, like in any issues we've had with that Venezuela story, which now has been thoroughly debunked.
Any apology about that?
None. It doesn't seem to be the case. But like that even if you're saying, okay, there's nuance in this story. It's about what you choose to cover and what you choose to give credibility to, or assign some sort of kind of.
When you do one story like that.
Yes.
You know what, Vogel, every time you mention me getting a haircut, that's another week I add on to not getting a haircut. Yeah, I said it.
I mean, yes. Now, you know, TYT was built on a certain amount of sensationalism. That's fine. I think it's helpful. You know, we do, you know, sort of like we have the fun. We have the fun half, and so you know that I understand that. But when you promote a right-wing narrative, and you focus on a story. And I've told this story about Rush Limbaugh, you know, focusing on, like, I remember this vividly. He was talking about, like, all the enviros are worried about so-called global warming. And he found this story about, like, they put this reflective stuff on a glacier in the Swiss Alps because they wanted, and then as he's reading it, he hadn't read it carefully, but he looked for that one tiny story that he thought would promote a narrative, a false narrative. And it actually happened that it was the ski resort that did it because they were trying to deal with all the melting of their glaciers. But the point being that, like, and so I took issue with that with him, and I am perfectly willing to go on his show.
He's not going to do that.
Talk about.
He's not going to do that. Look, Cenk Uygur at this point doesn't even have the fucking balls of Tim Pool. Tim Pool will have both of these people on, right? Because they've both been on his show. Cenk doesn't want that because it'd be very easy to expose Cenk as the grifting, why I left the left turncoat piece of shit that he is.
Out debate any of this. I have no problem with that at all. He doesn't want to come on this one, fine. I'm willing to go on his. But I don't care about the rest of the stuff that he says. He can introduce me as whatever he wants to introduce me as, but if he's willing to have an engagement on questions of, like, crime, on questions as to whether, like, there's something fundamentally different about MAGA or, you know, or the Republican Party today than there was 8 years ago when I know he was vehemently against it. Whatever. I'm willing to discuss that. I'm willing to discuss trans issues. I'm willing to discuss crime issues in the way that they played in this. I'm willing to discuss, you know, whether he thinks that we are extremists. I would also say the dirtbag left was this different cohort than us. I mean, you know, I think that was more like the Chapo and Come Town and this and that. But I don't care about that either.
And Voosh. Don't forget Voosh.
None of that's important. I'm happy to go on that show at any time and debate these issues. But after that, I don't care about any of this. Honestly, it's a waste of my time. And so...
Live from the Polymarket studio in L.A.
I understand. I understand that they were sponsored by.
Well,
Polymarket.
you're a grifter, apparently. That's the thing. Is look, I've worked at both places.
Put it this way, I'm willing to put a bet on a overseas betting market.
Yes.
I'm willing to put a bet that he won't invite me on to discuss this.
I mean,
well, can I just make a quick point?
Yeah.
The whole Venezuela story, which people should watch, Jose is it Jose not a J on YouTube or Jose on YouTube's takedown of that?
That we did watch that the other day. It was very good. And we also learned through Wayward Historian about the sex hotel in Aurora. That's a thing that exists.
Good, long, in-depth thing they should apologize for, but they didn't cover it because they cared about the state of what was going on in Colorado. They did it because they wanted to throw shade at all the left media who doesn't take these crime stories at face value like they want to.
Yeah, and then taking it at face value, I think showed itself. It's just like crazy to me. I mean, look, I didn't see all of it. I did see when he called you a grifter, and I think
you got a woo. Wow, that was so good. It was one of the best ones I've heard. Wow. She's just getting so good at these. It's like you encourage them and they just get better and better. I know. It's amazing. Thanks, Izzy. Now I. Oh, okay. Keep going.
Aww. Dogs are too awesome.
If we're grifting, we're doing a pretty bad job. But like the notion that you bring up Jimmy, you know, I think he has a misunderstanding of what you were even communicating when you're saying you're trying to take Jimmy's audience. Like, you're not trying to say you want to take it so that you make more money. I think we've been kind of hands off with this stuff with TYT because largely we don't like to really go after our allies. And usually and especially because I had personal relationships there, but I
don't think there is a sex hotel in Birmingham. I mean, there are probably brothels, I imagine, but I'm not sure. That's why I was so surprised when you were going about the sex hotel. I was like, what the fuck is that? I'd never even heard of such a place. Anyway.
Get IMs and people want us to respond to it, and increasingly we're going to have to because they have decided that they're basically kind of doing a much more, I would say, centrist channel at this.
I don't even think it's centrist at this point. I think if you're going on about birthing people and bonus holes and how criminals should be made into pate and fed to crocodiles, like. You're just a right-wing audience. You're a right-wing channel now, right? Like, if it wasn't for the fact that they used to be vaguely on the left, would anyone be taking them as left now? Like, if they just appeared without any of that baggage, if you didn't know anything about them, and they just came out with those takes right now, would you think they were anything other than just culture war grifters of the right? I don't think you would.
Point. And so when they're giving credibility to right-wing talking points, we want to respond to that, not because we're trying to make money. And I know, and
I'd like to announce Matt Pack. I got a new political action committee that I'd like to announce.
Not to make money or running for president or whatever. Like, not to do any of that, but to basically try to de-radicalize people by mocking them and by changing their minds. When you were talking about Jimmy, and I know this because we've had these conversations and because we do it with right-wingers, it's because you have to combat these bad ideas head on and try to change people's minds in that regard. And Jimmy has shown himself since that time period, since you had that conversation, to be a grifter in and of himself. And you were right about that. And so if we're responding to somebody peddling right-wing talking points, the problem is the peddling of the right-wing talking points.
Yeah, and look, people can have different opinions, but I think, like, the crime stuff was pretty clear. If you look at Donald Trump's, like, one of the biggest cohorts of people who voted for Donald Trump, I had it somewhere around here, they believed that crime was at an all-time high in this country. And it's not...
Yeah, we've talked about this before, like, that crime is going down, but the fear of crime is always going up. And it's the right-wing fucking media machine that wants you to be scared of crime, that wants you fearful. Because when you're fearful, you'll act stupidly against your own interests. You'll vote for candidates that will totally protect you honest, but will also just steal all of your money. You know.
Not even remotely close to that.
Yeah.
Not even remotely close. It's, if anything, like in the past 40 years, it's probably still pretty close to an all-time low. But how did they get this idea in their head? Now, was it TYT? No, of course. It was Fox. It was a huge right-wing machine. But where are you putting, if it's like, if it's, and he rightly, he says, like, he's the biggest progressive thing out there. If the biggest progressive online outlet puts that, if it's a feather or a 5-pound weight or a 100-pound weight on the scales of that, it is it's a negative. It's bad. If you're out there saying that, like, point, that the in terms of women's sports, or the amount of, like, subjugation you feel because somebody somewhere supposedly called you a birthing person, like,
bonus hole alert.
How real is that, and how much of it is a narrative that has been created, and are you playing into it, and are you promoting it? Now, if you get to the point where you say, like, I'm optimistic and enthusiastic, why am I feeling so good after
Oh, non-binary, don't search for sex hotels. I don't want to know about the fucking sex hotels. No. I'm not interested in the sex hotels. I thought it was funny, but, like, I'm not... Oh, for God's sake. The Extasia Adult Hotel, adults only, in West Bromwich, UK. Boasting a terraced, shared lounge, bar, and free Wi-Fi. I mean, I'm not surfing the web if I'm using the sex swing, surely. Adults only is situated in West Bromwich, 1.6 kilometres from Junction 1 of the M5. Fuck off. No. Stop it. Naughty.
Donald Trump wins the election, well, you're suggesting to people that these people are being earnest. And, you know, like I say, you know, we were talking about this with Rick Perlstein. You know, when Kennedy's out there saying, we're going to get rid of these, unhealthy things in the food. It's too processed, or there's too much corn. Our ag policy is bad for big agriculture. I mean, because of big ag. I think it is a reasonable argument to have. Like, how do we leverage this? Are these policies good policies? Are they bad policies? Are they policies that if we promote, will it expose these people's failure to do this stuff and hurt their electoral chances or whatnot? Because, I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, never for a moment do I think that Kennedy is going to do these things, A, and B, never for a moment do I think that he's going to be a net positive. And so there's like a nuance in there. But that's not what is happening. So that's not what we're seeing. And so, like, that's it. That's it. As far as, like, the grifting, like, I mean, anybody who has watched this show can...
Look, no one would ever accuse me of being a grifter. No one would ever accuse me of being a grifter. So I'm going to do some grifting. Yo, who's Kev fingering tonight? Well, as we're not on a hype train, no one at the moment. But you can help me get on a hype train if you so wanted. By subscribing to the channel, or gifting subs to the community, or subscribing with Amazon Prime. You can also do bits messages. All of those things will allow for a hype train, and then the fingering can commence. Also, if you're on YouTube, you can't affect the fingering as much, but you can still pay for my fare to get to whatever foreign country I'm going to finger. Assuming I'm going to a foreign country, I might just finger Elgin. I don't know where he's buried. He's probably buried somewhere in Britain, I imagine. Yeah, so you can do so with super chats. You can become a member for 99p or gift memberships to the community. These are all things you can do to help the Kev grift train never stop.
Make their own assessment and go and look. I mean, it's just like
pretty clear.
It's the politics more than the commerce that bug me more. And I would just say, you mentioned the delineation between TYT and what Fox News does. Fox News, October 9th, progressive journalist unleashes on liberal intolerance that drove her away from the Democratic Party. They fed that machine. So if now's
yeah, they're doing the why I left the left bullshit, while still sort of pretending to be on the left. You can't have your cake and eat it.
time for recrimination, fine, let's let it get shaky. Let's actually look at we were too supportive of trans people. You fed propaganda about immigrants and this thing in October of 2024. So yeah, maybe there is some grading that needs to be done here. And I'll be honest, I sleep pretty well. I don't know about how like if I was on Fox News talking about how intolerant the left was a month before the election, how good I'd sleep. But maybe it'll work for them.
And the left is not online people that are pissing you off. The left, and what I think we're trying to do is
no, politics only exists online. You're not content brain pilled enough. No.
a voice to activists, to unions, to people who are doing work, to folks like Astra Taylor. I mean, all of these people who have dedicated their lives to trying to make people's lives better, they know intimately what the challenges are, and so like we're going to question those things, but we're going to be a vessel for that as well. So like it's so media focused. You know, no media company, no show is the left, and I think it's ridiculous to claim that that's the case. And like, you know, to say we'll button this up, but I was a part of the journalistic team where they fundraised from their audience, and a lot of the core proposition was to combat Trump, you know, who then ended up getting elected. And I remember the journalists that were being hired as I was reporting on the inauguration down in DC, and this was like, okay, as a part of this company, we're going to be resistance and we're going to fight Donald Trump. And then to turn around and basically roll over on your belly or roll over on your back and show your belly to Elon Musk and be like,
yeah, he does want to be Elon Musk's little bitch. Oh, please pat me on the head, rich daddy. Oh.
Like, hey, we could work together on this, even if it is to say, you know, what you're saying, Sam, to call out his hypocrisy. I do think it's a betrayal of the core brand proposition, and frankly, for the millions that were fundraised from an audience that cared about this kind of thing.
But I mean, look, you know, as far as that part of it, I don't have much interest in getting into that. But again, I will just say, I will for the last time, and you know, we will address. You know, when a show, any show for that matter, it comes to our attention, if they...
So basically, if they're going to carry on being right-wing cunts, they're going to cover it. Yeah, that's absolutely fair.
They are promoting some type of, like, fundamental...
Yeah, Cathay, we really should be referring to them as the Vichy resistance, yeah. Because that's all they are. They're Vichy friends. They've accepted that they're going to be fucked by fascism. Cunts. That's TYT, by the way.
This truth, and we think it's helpful.
And actually, the main hosts on TYT aren't going to be fucked by fascism because they're rich, so it doesn't matter. It's the people who have supported TYT over the years. It's the poor kids across America and indeed across the world who are going to be hurt. But Chank's optimistic. Because the richest man in the world is apparently now anti-establishment or something. Get in the fucking bin. Get in the fucking trash can, Cenk. It is where you belong.
To use that show as an example of what the actual reality is, we will not hesitate to use those clips or talk about it. But I don't give, you know, like whatever. Run your business, do whatever you got to do. I don't care about that shit, honestly.
Live from the Polymarket studio in LA.
All right, we'll also play that clip, but we got to get just the volume is a little bit loud. But all right, so don't IM us more about that unless there's like something specific.
To reopen the channels of communication for other stuff.
Toronto David, any chance of a restock for the 20th anniversary mugs? Are we out? Maybe. We still got it.
So bad at grifting.
Bob's Burgers is amazing. Love that show.
Oh, right.
All right. Voicemail is off. We can take phone calls. Shaky Gurga, you don't attack Hassan because he's too hot. I mean, Duber, I think the fact that fake billionaire Edward Gregorian's profile talked about social justice is instructive of who Russia typically tries to pay off semi-leftists who are looking for money and justify taking it one way or another. Edward Gregorian, Matt sleeps well because of his My Pillow.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. We haven't seen any offers like that, so I'd be surprised who's getting that money. I do know, like, the Vanguard boys have talked about getting money from a I can't remember which billionaire who's splashing out.
Oh, that was the guy who was funding Dore, who was anti-vax.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Yep. The Syrians have been funding people through their journalism prize. Jabs and ankles, for one.
Their contribution, which a few $100 a month, dried up after they decided not to take the anti-vax route.
Good for them. That shows integrity.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show.
Not the Daily Show, because that's a different thing. Lord Elgin is supposedly buried in Paris, France, because he was returning from the Ottoman Empire via Italy and France. He got arrested in 1803 and was a prisoner of war because Britain and France went to kill more of each other. Oh, well, there you go. Well, if we do get on a hype train, which doesn't seem likely right now, then I will have to travel to Paris, France for my fingeree, as I am the fingerer. I'll keep you updated with any nonsense. I don't know if it's going to be a thing, but whatever. Anyway, bit of lib time, but good lib, not bad lib, good lib. Steve Shives, friend of the channel, was on the election night broadcast, and hopefully we get to talk to him during better times. But anyway, he's released a couple of interesting videos recently that I quite like to take a look at. This one's about Nazis and that. Should be interesting.
Real quick, I just want to play you this brief clip of Dana Bash saying something on CNN's Inside Politics, and then come back and just clarify a minor point, okay?
Talk about something that happened over the weekend, not in your district, in Columbus. A group of neo-Nazis paraded through that city wearing, waving swastikas, covering their faces. This is not the first time this sort of thing has happened in Ohio in particular, and of course it's continuing to spread. We don't know what side of the aisle this comes from. I mean,
I think we do. I think we very much do.
typically neo-Nazis are for the far right.
Yeah.
You had protests from the far left at your house.
Correct.
Whoa! What's that got to do with anything? Whoa, 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 whoa. Time out, Holmes lies. Is there any indication that the Nazis were the same people as at his house? Because if they weren't, why are you connecting them as if that's a thing that's anything at all?
As a Jewish member?
Yeah.
So, just to clarify, she does say Nazi in the clip. She says neo-Nazi. She understands and recognizes that they are neo-Nazis that she's referring to. But then she says, of course, we're not really sure what side of the political spectrum they
Zionism is a hell of a drug.
come from. Typically, Nazis are from the right. So, just for the sake of clarity, for the benefit of Dana Bash, for the benefit of anybody else who's confused. Because look, I'm not completely unsympathetic. I know politics is complicated, culture is complicated, it continuously evolves. We're always coming up with new concepts, new labels to apply to ourselves to describe our politics in ever more precise and individual detail, and it can be difficult to keep up with all of that. It can be difficult to keep track of all the hip new political labels that people use.
Yeah, like this modern Nazi concept. What's that? What's all that about? You seen the Nazis they've got nowadays? What's going on there?
To describe their ideologies,
Nazis be
labels such as
shopping.
Nazi. So, just for the sake of everybody who's confused, of everybody who has trouble remembering whether Nazis are right-wing or left-wing, here's a little mnemonic that I like to use. Nazis are always in the wrong, but always on the right. Right? Come on, it's easy. Nazis are always in the wrong and on the right.
That's not a mnemonic. That's not a mnemonic. I'm just saying. Like, don't get me wrong, he's correct. His analysis is correct. It's not a mnemonic.
Because by definition, they're on the right. Nazis are right-wing. I know sometimes it confuses people, but Nazi stands for National Socialist, and aren't the socialists on the left? It's not the same thing.
And the titmouse is neither a tit or a mouse. Good day to you, sir. Yeah, I said good day.
Don't even think National Socialist, okay? If this is difficult for you, if this is too much information for you to handle. Just think Nazi. Just think Nazi. They're fucking Nazis. They're on the right. Nazis are fascists. Fascism is a right-wing political ideology. Dana Bash seems a little confused by the fact that there is anti-Semitism.
I'm being told there are very fine people on both sides. Such is the Munch on. Munch on these nuts. Aha, got him.
Disappointed you didn't say despunkify. I mean, I appreciate the donation, much thanks, but the lack of despunkify is disappointing. For shame. For shame.
Semitism on the left as well as the right? And maybe she's thinking, well, gosh, anti-Semitism is a key feature of Nazism, and if there's anti-Semitism on the left as well, doesn't that mean there are Nazis on the left as well? No, Dana. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. There are anti-Semites on the left, unfortunately. To my great shame and embarrassment as someone who identifies as a member of the left, not necessarily on the far, far, far left, but on the left.
Very much so. Yeah, oh, hang on. Well, someone else has already done it, but I got the link. For those who are wondering, this guy's called Steve Shives, who's very good. A long-time viewer of his, I am. I don't know why I would turn into fucking Yoda then. I'm a long-term viewer of his. If you get a chance, go and check out his Atheist Reads series. It's exceptionally good. As well as lots of other stuff. Stephen Stuffy is a great series where he plays a bear. I've explained that about as poorly as it could possibly be explained. He has a bear that's like a childhood toy of his that he has anthropomorphized and voices and various other characters, and they interact, and it's very funny.
Left, yes, there is anti-Semitism on the left. And it's inexcusable, and it sucks, and it's embarrassing, and we should call it out and confront it anytime we see it.
Look, I know he's into Star Trek as well, but I wanted to lead with the good stuff, not the degeneracy. Do you know what I mean?
But it's not the same as Nazis. Anti-Semitism...
Steve Shives is like a kind of sock-demi liberal sort of a guy. He's a good lad. So you might find him a bit libby for your tastes, and that's fine. But, like, he's a good guy. So go and check him out, you know?
...is a bug on the left. It is a pillar.
Steve is not a furry,
right,
as far as I'm aware.
Particularly of Nazism. So let's try to keep it straight. And the reason why this pisses me off to the extent that I felt like making an entire video pivoting off of that one clip of Dana Bash saying something insipid and asinine on CNN is it feels of a piece of this broader project that the media, particularly the mainstream American political media, and not just the American political media either, but I'm going to talk just about that because that's the media I primarily consume as far as political media, the American political media, lucky us. It's this long-term project that the American political media has been involved in for decades and decades of being obsessed with treating all sides equally. You want to be fair to the right and fair to the left. Oh, everybody always...
Yeah, they do this in Britain as well, where it's like... and here to discuss the earthquake in Sumatra today, we have noted geologist Frank Blurdeblur and flat earth and lunatic Lord Squibbly Bobs. And then they talk about it like this is balance. The person who knows what they're talking about and the lunatic. Gotta have balance. No, you don't. You actually don't. What's the old line about being open-minded but not so open-minded that your brain falls out?
Accuses the media of being left-leaning, the liberal media. That's the old saw, right? It's that damn liberal media. And there are people in the quote-unquote liberal media, especially producers and studio executives and, bosses, who really take that to heart, and they really don't like that. They don't want to be the liberal media. They hate that. They don't want people to think that they're biased, so they overcorrect, and they give way too much deference and way too much grace to people on the right who don't deserve any. Like, just because they're on the right, that doesn't...
Well, yeah, exactly, right. So these fucking liberal pricks in American media, and this goes back to the point I was making earlier about people trying to gaslight you about the Hunter Biden pardon. Don't for a second let them talk shit. Like when Trump was pardoning dozens and dozens and dozens of his friends who were obviously guilty and dangerous and awful and fucking war criminals, they didn't really give a fuck. But now Hunter Biden, he's pardoned one fucking person. Now, admittedly, it is his son, and that's not great. But now the great noticing has taken place, where all of a sudden, is it right that the president gets to pardon people? This is your fucking limit. Not literal fucking Watergate corrupt. Literally, he's so old and corrupt that he was in Watergate. Roger fucking Stone. Trump pardoning him, that wasn't a problem. Dinesh D'Souza, not a problem. Fucking literal war criminals, not a problem. But Hunter Biden's massive cock, that's a problem. Ridiculous.
Mean you have to go out of your way to make sure that their voices are heard, that their perspectives are seen, that everybody...
And no, I don't think Steve is a furry, for the person who asked.
...understands what they have to say and what their version of the truth is as opposed to the left. If the people over there on that side are mostly bigots and liars, which, in case anybody didn't notice, is the case, what happens is you end up equating people who are, you know, just kind of normal and are maybe they're wrong, maybe they're right occasionally, maybe they're a little dishonest, maybe they're trying to frame things in a way that makes their side look good or that helps their argument, but they're not inveterate, determined, willful, constant liars like the people over there. The people over there on the right, my right, by the way, not your viewer right. For you, the right is over there. But that's confusing for me, as I said on camera, because for me, over here is the left. So let's just go with my right, shall we? The people over there on the right, that's become the cornerstone of their politics, creating their own alternate reality where the facts are whatever they say the facts are, and then getting other people, if not to believe it, to at least take it seriously and treat it as though it is deserving of equal time and equal respect to the actual truth. If you're a journalist, if you work at a news station and your job is to report the news, you don't need to worry so much about making sure that nobody accuses you of being biased against right-wing bigots and liars. If you are a journalist, if you are a reporter of the news, you should want people to think that you're biased against bigots and liars, because their entire worldview is built on false premises. The kind of false premises that you as a journalist, as a reporter of fact, should be involved in exposing on a regular basis.
True.
Here's another really easy way to remember this. If you're ever worried as a journalist, as a reporter, as a news anchor, as a host, as a whoever, if you're involved in the enterprise of journalism in any way, and you're worried about being biased, about being unfair to people on the right, or people on the left, or anybody, just remember this. It's really easy to keep track of if you just remember this. The truth is fair to everybody. It might not be flattering to everybody. It might not be what everybody wants to hear. It might not be what everybody wants everybody else to hear. But the truth is fair to everybody.
And it will set you free.
So if you're a reporter or an anchor reporting on the news or reading the news or throwing to a reporter in the field who's going to update us all on the news, whatever part you play in this great big world of news, just remember, your job is not to go out of your way to be fair to one side or the other of our political spectrum. Your job is to report the truth. And as long as you do that to the best of your ability, as long as you're chasing the truth and not some manufactured concept of fairness and both sidesist neutrality, as long as you're chasing the truth, you can't go wrong. Because the truth is fair to everybody.
Fucking true. Fucking true. What a ledge. If you were president, Kev, and you could pardon someone, who would you pardon? I'd have to take a good long look at it and weigh up my options. I'd basically look at who do the right wing hate? Right? Who could I pardon that would annoy conservatoids the most? And I'd release all of those people. I want to boil as much piss as possible. Like, if I'm going to do the corruption anyway, fuck it, right? Like, I don't know, who's in jail that they would really not enjoy being out of jail? I mean, I would say Hunter Biden, but that's already happened, so... Yeah, basically, it'd just be Hunter Biden, wouldn't it? And then there's this one, a geopolitical fable, and I'll leave you with this. We'll finish after this.
How have I been making YouTube videos for so long without a big-ass map to sit in front of?
True.
Have you ever found yourself being a good friend to a bad friend? I had a friend like that. His name was Benny. It's not his real name, but let's just say his name was Benny. And Benny was a lot of trouble. You know, we got along really well. We had a lot in common. In fact, Benny had a lot more in common with me than he had with people in his own neighborhood. And we kind of bonded over that. And I kind of felt bad for him because he was in a neighborhood where a lot of people just didn't like him. And it didn't seem fair that people didn't like Benny. I thought, what's so bad about Benny? He seems like a good dude. So whenever I was in his neighborhood, if I saw his neighbors picking on him, I would try to stick up for him as much as I could without wanting to start like a whole big thing, you know, but I would make it known, like, that I had Benny's back, that he was with me, you know, so if anybody was going to fuck with him, they were going to be fucking with me. And that kind of helped him out. That sort of helped him have a little bit more of a stable existence in his part of the world. But Benny was always getting in trouble, and it wasn't the kind of trouble where, like, people would start trouble with him and then he would have to start trouble back with him. I mean, there was some of that. That did happen. I don't want to say that that never happened, but there were a lot of times where I would find myself having to take Benny's side and stick up for him, and even sometimes risk pissing off other friends of mine in order to stick up for Benny over stuff that he completely started himself, over stuff that was at least like 75.
Hello there, everybody. Thank you to Lance from the Surfy Surfs. Much love to you. Everyone go and follow the Surfs TV. Hello there, Raiderinos. I'm Kevin Logan, a socialist from the UK. Yes, we do exist, I promise you. You should hit the follow button. You should. It's free, and you can always change your mind later. So, like, literally, what's the point in not doing so? It makes you 17.5% sexier as well. So, you know, just saying. Anyway, we're currently watching a guy called Steve Shives, who is good people, who's sketching out for us a not very... Oh, hang on, thank you for everyone following, but I'll turn off the alert box so that we don't have to listen to that fucking noise 20 times. He's sketching out for us a geopolitical analogy about how America and Israel interact. So essentially he's drawing the connection that America sticking up for Israel when Israel is not a good friend in response is a bad thing. So that's where we're at as a group.
5 to 85, if not more, percent Benny's fault. And every time he would do something like this, I would have to come in and back him up.
Also, yeah, hello everyone, Johnny. Thank you, Blue Terry Teddy, for gifting a sub to the community. If someone else nips in now, we get on a hype train, and then the fingering can commence. Just saying. Who doesn't want that?
And help him out and make sure he knew that I was on his side. And if he needed me, all he had to do was call, because I wanted to be a good friend to Benny, because Benny had been through some...
By the way, Benny is the fake name he's chosen because it's Benjamin Netanyahu. That's the analogy that's being drawn. Again, it's not very veiled.
Pretty bad shit when he was younger. And he was tough, you know, and there were a lot of things about Benny that I really genuinely admired. And like I said, there were things that we had in common. And I liked him. And I wanted to help him. And I wanted him to figure out some way at some point to straighten his shit out. And like I said, I wanted to be a good friend. We're raised, at least if you're raised the way I was, you're raised with this idea that you should look out for your friends. That if you call someone your friend and they think of you the same way and they depend on you, that when they need you, you should be there. You should stand alongside your buddies. You should fight side by side with your buddies if it comes to that. Somebody needs a place to stay. If you've got room, let them stay with you.
No, Tava, this is not TYT related. We did cover that earlier, though. Along with a few weird esoteric topics as well, if you want to scroll back at some point. But there we go. You should hit the follow button. You should. I've called you out personally. That's it. You've been called out personally. And you, Kissy Moljolk. You also need to hit the follow button. I command it. Actually, I don't command it, but you get the idea.
Somebody needs a few bucks. If you've got the money, let them have it. You know? Somebody needs clothes or food or whatever. Like, if you've got it to give and they're your friend, you give it to them. That's what you do. That's what good friends do. And it took me a long time before I started to accept that even though I was really trying to be a good friend to Benny, that Benny wasn't really a good friend to me. That he was pulling me into stuff that really should have been none of my business.
True. Thank you, Suzzle Tonight, for resubscribing. Much love to you. We're on a hype train. If we get to level 2 of the hype train, I will finger Lord Elgin. That's a name that the new people joining me probably haven't heard of. He stole some marbles from Greece a long time ago, and then on his way home got captured in France and died. So I will have to travel to Paris, locate his grave and finger his corpse, which I will do if we get to level 2 of the hype train. It's a thing we do on the channel. I cannot tell you the number of times I've had to break into the Kremlin to finger Stalin. Jesus fucking Christ. I have finger banged him so many times. It's honestly mental. But to be fair, I know my way around the security system of the Kremlin really well. Trust me, I'm a fucking expert at this point. Anyway, and you can help me out on the hype train with bits and subs and all of that jazz. Much love.
And he was pulling me into stuff that, even if it was my business, if I hadn't already been friends with Benny and I had decided to get involved in this, I probably wouldn't be on Benny's side. Like, there are some ongoing issues, let's just say, that Benny has been involved with, where I'm on his side because he and I go way back. But if he and I weren't friends from way back, I can't imagine that I would be on Benny's side, because he's been, let's just say he's been in the wrong in a lot of these situations.
Talking about being in the wrong from the perspective of Israel, did we see this absolute rip snorter of a wrong side of history post from the State of Israel? This is a doozy. Not even to do with the genocide, bizarrely. But this is from Libby Alon, who is a news anchor person and fucking scumbag. Anyway. Welcome to Israel, Kevin Spacey. For reals. For reals. Zionism is so desperate that they're now bringing in alleged pederast rapist and all-round, like, disgraced lunatic Kevin Spacey. Hashtag not all Kevins, I'm just saying. Yeah. I think you might be on the wrong side of history, lads. I don't know about you, but that's a bit spicy.
Benny and I were friends for many, many years. And eventually, and it was inevitable when I...
Israel is the Wakanda for sex criminals. I mean, kinda, yeah. A little bit. Yeah, there's a certain truth to that. 100%.
I should have seen it coming. Benny did something that was so bad.
Talking of 100%, we are not 100% of the level 1 of the hype train. And only bits and subs can get me there. It's almost like you don't want me to finger this dead man. Jeez. You know, occasionally when you say something mental, because it's the internet, and obviously, right? And you just sort of catch yourself, you're like, why the fuck am I saying this? Why did I just say that sentence? And that just happened then. I had a little moment like, that's not normal. That's like internet brainworms. What are you saying that for? Why is that a thing?
The return of the sausages.
Kitty Bonk.
Thank you, Wayward Historian, with the bitty bits, and thank you, Lord Fruitus, for gifting a sub to Blue Terry Teddy. I said it right this time. Much love to you. We are at level 2 of the hype train, so I've got to go to Paris and finger a dead thief. God almighty.
That even I, as his friend and the guy who took up for...
I've got to finger a dead thief is a sentence I've said. You can quote me on that. Kevin Logan, 2024.
And the guy who always made excuses for him. Even I couldn't make any more excuses for him. Even I had to admit.
That's true. I haven't fingered many women in my world tour of fingering, to be fair. Although, to be fair, the whole point is that I'm fingering, like, evil people. And most of the evil people in history have been dudes. Don't get me wrong.
On a positive note...
Oh, Jesus Christ. Was fascism left-wing or right-wing? Episode 2? Is he making a fucking series out of this shit? Oh, I thought it was a one-off. Oh, no. I'm not... No, 255... I can't watch this fucking cretin, this bumblefuck loser, do a series on this. Look, I can just about tolerate one video of him being wrong about this topic. I can't do multiple. I can't do it. I can't do it, noble ones. Noble ones. I can't, no. Not at all. Good time for fishing for subs so that Kev can finger a dead man. Is a sentence that was typed by a human on the internet. And correct.
Only to myself at first, but even I had to admit that he had gone too far, that what he had done was impossible to excuse, and maybe even impossible to forgive. It was that bad. I'm not going to say exactly what he did. That's not the point. The point is...
The point is genocide. It's genocide. He's talking about genocide.
He crossed a line that I was hoping he would never cross. And now here we are. And I'm in a situation where I have a choice to make. Do I continue to be friends with Benny? Do I continue to stick up for him? Do I continue to back him up? Even though I know he's just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, look, there's a warrant out for his arrest now. Like,
he's literally talking about Benjamin Netanyahu now. It's not even veiled at all. What the is this a real thing he sent out? Oh my god, he's a fucking lunatic. I can't with this guy. I can't. Not for 4 more fucking years of him.
Like, the authorities...
Trump is such a cunt.
...have had enough. A lot of times, you know, the authorities, they knew the kind of guy Benny was. They knew the kind of things he was doing, but they tried to look the other way because there's just... When you get involved with Benny and when you try to make him behave himself or you try to hold him accountable for these things he's been doing, it opens up this whole other can of worms. And honestly, even the cops...
Was it the Matterhorn in the background?
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Victory is ours.
Hello, new people. Welcome to the Kevolution. Was it the Matterhorn? Hang on a minute. Oh, it fucking is as well. Oh, Jesus Christ. Not even the right country. AI slop, honestly. I didn't think the boomers could get any more fucking cringe, and they discovered AI. I thought they'd crapped out with like the Minion memes that had nothing to do with the Minions at all. It was just like, ha ha ha, aren't immigrants bad? And it's just also a picture of a fucking a Minion. Like, what? I thought that was the worst it was going to get. But like, they've discovered AI, and now it's just mad. For any Americans out there, there's a thing called the Poppy Appeal, which is like, I suppose it's like a thing that you would do on our version of Veterans Day, right? Where you wear a red poppy to signify support for injured troops, right? Or for veterans. And there's the kind of poppy wankery that happens, where people just masturbate themselves furious, metaphorically speaking, although in some cases possibly literally, over like they have to wear the biggest poppy or the most poppies, and it's like they're just fucking obsessed with it. And again, it's pathetic and annoying when it's in real life, but now they've discovered AI, they're able to produce the weirdest sloppy poppy ever. It's just madness. It's bulldogs and D-Day and fucking Normandy, and it's just all of this shit slammed together with absolutely no care or attention, which utterly belies the point, because the point is you're not supposed to fucking like just glorify the thing. You're supposed to actually care about like the people doing the thing, right? You're supposed to care about the human beings involved in this, and what you're actually doing is just masturbating using the flag as a cum rag. You fucking weird bastards.
Would rather not deal with this, but Benny has gotten so out of control and so incorrigible and has just gone so far over the line and has been daring people to stop him for so long that eventually even the cops had to say, all right, we need to do something about this. And I know there's going to come a day when Benny's going to be standing on my doorstep and the authorities are going to be breathing down his neck.
Well, not in America. Like, he's stretching the analogy a little bit now, because America are definitely not going to breathe down his neck.
And he's going to remind me of our friendship. And he's going to remind me of everything we've been through. And he's going to remind me of how, come on, man, it's us versus the world. Me and you. And he's going to ask if he can come in here and stay with me, while they're out there looking for him. And maybe I say yes. Maybe I say, sure, Benny, you can stay.
Oh, sorry. Okay, my Darkling. You're new here, so I wasn't sure what to fucking do with this. Because, firstly, we don't try and encourage too much shouting. So, caps lock. I don't mind a little bit, but, like, just bear in mind. Secondly, I didn't know how to take your suggestion of Ilsa Koch and Ayn Rand and I was like, I'll just read out your message and then I'll explain the context of it, right? That you say, aha, I know what about the bitch of Buchenwald, which was a Nazi concentration camp. You can add Ilsa Koch to the list and/or Ayn Rand. I've done it, you're welcome. Now, I had no fucking clue what the hell you meant by that, and I thought, you're new here, it might just be that we're not meshing like on a comedic basis. I'll leave it. It's a bit weird. You are mentioning a Nazi war criminal, but like, I'll gloss it over and we'll just say, like, we'll put it down to teething problems in the relationship. And then you said, I found you two women, you're welcome. And I went, oh, because I'm not fingering enough dead evil people that are women. Ah. And then I thought to myself, why is that a thing that I worked out the answer to? Why is that the answer to anything ever? That all of a sudden it made sense because you had found me two dead evil women that I could finger for money. What is this? What is this fucking job that I do? Where that's a logical thought process that led me to the correct answer. What the fuck am I doing? I used to be a productive member of society. That's wild. That is fucking wild. And yet it can't be denied. I do need to finger more dead women for equality. I'm never making partner. Let's be entirely honest. Even if my numbers do improve and I get to like whatever, I'm never making partner. There's not McDonald's and Coca-Cola do not want to put their adverts next to my anything.
Explain that to your dad.
There's no way I'm going to begin to explain that to my dad. For the new people, hello new people. My father is a very mental old Irishman who doesn't understand technology beyond the television and radio, and that is about it. He does have a mobile phone. He doesn't know really how to use it. That's about it though, right? So he doesn't deal with the computer. And literally he asks me about my job by saying, how's the internet going? Which makes it sound like he thinks I am the internet, or that I run the entire internet or something. I don't know what he thinks I do for a living. I've tried to explain it to him. It won't go in. It doesn't compute. It's like trying to explain to a squirrel the advantages of a good forward defensive stroke in cricket. It's not going to have an idea what the fuck's going on. So, look, he doesn't understand any of this. So imagine me trying to explain to him that people give me money to get to a certain level of a fake thing called a hype train, and then I say, lying, that I'm going to travel to a foreign country and finger a dead person. Imagine, his fucking head would actually melt. I think he'd be like, he'd go into Glitch McConnell mode. Like, he literally would just like, for hours. It would fry his brain chips. It would fry his Neuralink. You wouldn't have a fucking clue what to do with that information. It'd be fucking mental. Thank you, my darkling. Hopefully you come back another time and confuse me with fingering options as well. Much love. Ta-ta.
Stay here. And then, probably not too...
How old is my dad? He is in his mid-60s at this point. Although, to be fair, like, it's not even the age, because he was mental when he was in his 30s. So, like, you know.
Long after that, there's another knock on the door. And it's some cop saying, "Is Benny here?"
One of my first memories is of my father throwing a bike at a man. I don't need to explain the context of that. I'm just going to say that that's what happened. Because it is true. That did happen. It's one of my first memories. It didn't get any less strange.
And then what do I do? I know what I should do in that situation. I mean, really, what I should do in that situation is not even open the door to Benny to begin with.
The man did deserve to have the bike thrown at him, by the way. It wasn't like a random... It wasn't a drive-by biking of an innocent bystander. No, this man was a prick. But, like, it was still a weird thing to remember. And a weird thing to have happen.
Should do in that situation.
We were on holiday.
Is just cut him off. Is just say, you're more trouble than you're worth. What you're doing is wrong. You should turn yourself in. You should stop doing what you're doing. You should straighten your life out. You should straighten out the way you treat other people. You should try to take responsibility for the problems of yours that are within your control. And again, that's not all of them. Benny has some really serious issues, and it's not like he has the power to fix all of his issues himself. But there are quite a few of his issues, including the ones that are the most pressing right now, that he has a lot of control over. And if he really wanted to do something about it, he could. And if I were not just a good person, but even a good friend to him, I would tell him, I would say, look, I can't.
I'll be honest with you, at this point in the video, I need Steve to not carry on the pretense of this being like, oh, a friend I know. He's talking about Israel. He's talking about America's response to Israeli crimes. You can just come out and say that now. Like, it was a funny conceit, or not funny, but an interesting conceit at the start as a concept for a video. But like, just come out and say like, Israel needs to stop committing genocides. Otherwise we can't be fucking friends with them anymore. You know? How many atrocities do I need to commit? Quite so, Journeying Jordan.
Keep supporting you and enabling you as you do this. You, for your own good, as well as for the good of everybody in your neighborhood and everybody else who has gotten pulled into all of the crap that you generate. For everybody's good. You need to change the way you live. You need to start working on some of this. You need to start trying to fix some of this stuff that you can fix. You need to get a hold of yourself. And stop fucking up. Stop causing trouble.
Well, that's the thing. This is where the analogy falls down, because Israel isn't just fucking up. These aren't mistakes. This allegory falls down at this point, because this is literally Israel doing what it wants to do. Or, let's say, the ultra-Zionists who run Israel doing what they want to do. This isn't like a well-intentioned faux pas. They want to kill Palestinians. They want to murder lots of innocent fucking people. And not just they want to, they have and are. Steve's too lib to accept there's no limit in reality, unfortunately. I get... look, I did preface it by saying he's a bit lib. But he's one of the better ones, because even most libs don't accept that what Israel is doing is wrong. So at least he's on the right side of history, even if the analogy is odd at this point. Hey, hello Adrian Vixen. Everyone go and follow Adrian Vixen in chat there, who is a damn fine streamer in their own right. Careful, Kev. Twitch has determined the Z word is a slur. Well, Lord Fruito's yes and no. Firstly, everyone else has continued to use the Z word, or Z word if you're American, and doesn't seem to have had a problem. But also, in the specific wording of their document, it's not the word itself that's the problem. It's the context in which you use it. So, for instance, if I say Benjamin Netanyahu is a Zionist, that's not a slur under the definition, because he is. That's literally the political. That's the political tag he even applies to himself, right? It's when it's meant in theory anyway. The actual meaning of it is they want advertisers to not pull adverts on the basis of ginned up fake anti-Semitism claims by Ethan Klein and Destiny and all these other cunts, right? But the kind of mask they're using is that essentially they want people, neo-Nazis not to be able to, or not necessarily neo-Nazis, but right-wing people not to use Zionist as a catch-all term to mean Jewish person or Jew. So yeah, that's, which is not a thing I've ever done or would ever do. In fact, I think Zionism is in of itself quite anti-Semitic. So I would never describe all Jewish people as Zionists, because that's not true. Some of the very finest anti-Zionists I've ever known and indeed loved and respected have been Jewish people. So I would never ever use it in that way. So I feel absolutely confident under the wording of the particular thing that Twitch put out there that I don't fall within the confines of that restriction. And I said at the start when they first announced it that if Zionist was going to be banned as a word outright, that I wouldn't use the platform anymore, because there's no point. Like, if you're going to curtail my ability to criticise genocide, I want no part of your fucking platform, you know? Like, thankfully I'm in a better position than a lot of people that I can just go back to work. I could just go back to work full time if absolutely necessary. Like, I'm not going to starve to death. That's why I don't give the big sell here, because, like, if I have a bad month, I can just pick up a couple of shifts and, like, make up the difference. It's not the end of the world. I mean, it hurts. It's not nice, but, like, you know, it's a thing. Seamstress says, my earliest memory of my dad was him running after me as I crossed some skipping stones in a rapid river. He dropped his new Nikon camera in the river, which exploded and lit the entire valley. Wow. Okay. That's actually fucking dope. I mean, it's probably quite scary for your dad, but whatever. Would a better analogy be, what if we had a friend who became a serial killer? Yeah, basically, I think that probably would be a better analogy for Israel. What is this? Hristo Nikolaev Lukov. Maybe this is... Oh, okay. So, our resident Bulgarian, Phantom of Black, has sent me this person as a potential person to finger. By the way, to any new people in, hello. I do this thing where if we get to level 2 of the hype train, I finger an Evil Dead person. As a mark of, like, disrespect or something. I don't fucking know. It's a meme at this point. And we've had a few suggestions for people I should finger. And this is the one that they've sent me. It's Hristo Nikolov Lukov. Was a Bulgarian lieutenant general, politician and minister of war who led the Nationalistic Union of Bulgarian National Legions. I mean, red flags there. An organisation largely supportive of Nazi ideology. Lukov was shot dead by communist partisans on the 13th of August 1943 in Sofia. According to the book In the Name of the People, he was ambushed by 2 Jewish resistance fighters in front of his apartment in Sofia. Although struck by one bullet, he fought back one of the partisans, Ivan Borudziev, but the second one, Violeta Yakova, fired 2 more shots and killed him. Boom! Can we get some W's in chat for Ivan Borudziev and Violeta Yakova for being absolute fucking chads? Massive dubs. Massive dubs. Yeah, I'll finger this fucker. I don't care. Absolutely. I'll finger the various bullet holes as well. It's absolutely fine.
And stop fucking up other people's shit. If I were a really good friend, and if I were the kind of person that I like to believe I am, if I were the kind of moral, upstanding, admirable person that I like to say I am, that's what I would do. But the thing that kills me is I honestly don't think I'm going to do that. Even though I should. Even though most people who would look at this situation from the outside would tell me, no, that's definitely what you should do. You should.
By the way, he's acting the part of America. So I don't think Steve Shives is saying Steve Shives will still support Israel. He's saying he's playing in the analogy he is America, and he's saying that even though America should stop supporting Israel, it won't.
Should stop trying to help Benny, because Benny's problems, to a large extent, are his own fault. And you might be a good friend, or trying to be a good friend, but Benny obviously doesn't care about being a good friend to you, because if he was, he wouldn't have dragged you into this situation to begin with. But I honestly don't know. I feel like...
Oh yeah, Maurice Papon can get on the list. Absolutely, Nazi prick.
I know in my heart what should happen, but I feel like I also know in my head that what should happen, it's probably not what's going to happen. And just in case there are some of you watching this thinking maybe this story isn't true, there's no such person as Benny, I've just made him up for some reason, I want to assure you, Benny is real.
See what he's done there. Oh, he's shown behind the curtain. We were all fooled for a second. We thought this was a proper story.
Is real. Benny is real.
Honestly, that level of subtle subtextual acting. Oh, bless him. He's one of the good libs. We'll leave him alone. Anyway. No, he's a good lad. Anyway. Yes. I'm gonna fuck off for the night, I reckon now. Hello there, new people coming in. Hello. As rear for a bookstore and Bear Man. Hello. Welcome to the Kevolution. Albeit a Kevolution that is shutting down for the evening because I am fucking tired. Oh. Not all presidents of the USA were fans of Israel. Literally true, yeah. Well, of course, I mean, the Conservatives' biggest friend, or biggest cock ride, I don't know. What's his fucking face? Reagan was not a massive fan of Israel. Was very critical of them at times. But the rest of Conservatives went, no, we like them because they kill Browns. And they're our geopolitical puppet in the region. They're America's long cock sticking into the Middle East. Anywho, yeah, let's find somewhere to fucking send you all. Thank you so much, by the way, for everyone, for all of your support. Thank you to Lance from the Surfs. Everyone go and follow the Surfs. For raiding in. Much love. Let's go over to... Let's find somewhere on YouTube to send everybody first, shall we? Who is going? The Young Turks are going. Lol. You know what? A channel I used to not like at all, but I've grown much more fond of in recent times, to the point where I am cautiously happy to send you over there. The Vanguard. Everyone go and say hello to those lads. Adieu. And on Twitch, where should we send everybody? I don't know if the Vanguard even are on Twitch. What's this? What's Casey up to? If they're just playing a game, I don't really want to send everyone into a game. Cosmopolitics. Fuck it. Go and say hello to Cosmopolitics. They're good people. Or should we go... hang on. Hannah Reloaded? Because we went to them the other night, didn't we? Cosmopolitics. I like to share it round a little bit, so I'll go over to Hannah Reloaded and we'll do Cosmopolitics another night. Okay. Thank you everyone for listening and supporting and watching. I'll be on possibly tomorrow night, but it'll have to be very late because there's foosball, so I'll be attending that. But I'll be back by 9:30 or something, so I should be on for 10, hopefully. But I might go and get very drunk instead. Maybe. I don't know. If not, I'll be back Thursday for question time with hopefully no Justice MTG. Stay beautiful, you fucking awesome bastards. Free Palestine. No pass around.